Okay, quick show of hands. How many people here use the API at all? Right, this is not a technical talk. If you're expecting technical stuff, two things. It's not technical, and I'm going to concentrate on a tool called Analytics Edge to demonstrate how we use the API. If you're looking for lots of stuff about sheets, this is not the talk for you. So if you get up and leave now, it's not a problem. Okay. You may have noticed I've got a really stinking cold, so if I cough really loudly, it's not my fault. Okay, so I've been doing analytics for 22 years. I started off on log files a long time ago. Now I'm going to concentrate on Google Analytics. Now, we're based down in Swansea. Do those of you know where Swansea is? Little town. I'm just going to basically suggest that's 2 minutes from where I live. There's no filters on that this summer. So if anybody's looking to get out of London, I'm just going to leave that there. Okay, so who is this talk aimed at? Anybody who wants to basically learn how to use the API to speed up your reporting, extract actionable information, and who looks at that code and goes, I genuinely have no idea what that is meant to do. I know now, sadly, but, you know. Okay, so why do we use the API? Two things. Speed. Does anybody know who this is on the right-hand side? No, Sherlock Holmes. Speed and detective work. Because at the end of the day, I've still got to analyze the information. I've still got to look at that. I've still got to go through. I just want to get to the information quicker, and I want more of it and more actionable. Okay, so there are, as I said, I'm going to concentrate on showing a couple of examples we use with Analytics Edge. It's not the only tool that's out there. Who uses the API through Google Sheets at the moment? Yep, it works. It's fine. It's free. Yep. There's Supermetrics. Anybody use Next Analytics? How do you find Next Analytics?
I use both, Next Analytics and Analytics Edge. Mike's nicer when you ask him questions. Ward is an arrogant bastard. Next Analytics is more powerful for certain things that I do. So I split between them. So Next Analytics, the main advantage is it pushes to cloud. So when you save, you don't have to save as an Excel sheet or CSV. You push it straight to Azure. Analytics Edge, you have to jump through more hoops to do that.
That's a perfect answer. One of the reasons I stopped using Next Analytics is I couldn't stand the bloke who owned it, because he is very arrogant and doesn't respect bugs. But I'm just saying, as a tool, it was okay. Now, we use Analytics Edge. It is a paid-for tool. Yep. Again, if you're looking for a free tool, this is probably the time where you might want to go and find another talk. The reason I say that is, let's just go through what it does. We use Analytics Edge because we can pull in data from multiple sources. So not just GA. We use it mainly for GA, and we use it for Google Search Console. But I can take Facebook data in. I can take Bing data in. Now, we pull it in from multiple sources. The main advantage for us is the ability to append and compare data from different sources inside Excel. And the really important thing to us is the ability that we can transform and manipulate the data, and we can do it time and time and time again. Okay, so main reasons is, if I want to get my GA data down, the core program, Google Search Console, that is £139 a year. Per machine. That's a very good point, actually. Okay, so what Tim is basically saying is take a look at Next as well, depending on it. But seriously, if you can't afford £139 a year, and the value you're getting out of it, you're probably not doing your analytics right. And that sounds harsh. As Tim's already said, Mike is outstanding in actually fixing any issues we've ever had with that. He literally turns around a bug release the next day, and they're few and far between. He also does a fantastic, my brain's gone, a fantastic series called Misunderstood Analytics up on his blog, which is very good for going through. Right. So, how many people recognize the loading symbol? Especially, how many people here are on 360? How many people sit there a long time when you're on 360 waiting when you've applied a segment or you've gone to the next section? Yep. So, I did a little test, and I said, how many steps does it take to actually download the medium and source in Google Analytics? Actually, that's incorrect. That should be 9 steps. By the time I've gone through, selected each of the different sections, and then finally exported my first 5,000 results as CSV. Now, in Analytics Edge, and this will be the same in Next, whichever one here, all I have to do is say, which property do I want to select? Which fields do I want to select? Date range. And that's it. I click on the finish button. And Analytics Edge or any other tools will go through and will keep on looping through till you get all the data. How much have you pulled down, Tim? In rows-wise?
Through Analytics Edge.
Yep.
7 million, I think.
Yep, 6-7 million. Now, does anybody here fancy doing that as an export? Through the interface?
5,000 rows at a time.
Yeah, exactly. That alone. Now, we love using it because it's in Excel. Our clients have got Excel, and it means for each different client I take on, I can reuse the same Excel template time and time again. Now, one of the things that Analytics Edge has got is the ability to read cell values inside Excel. So I have a setup sheet, and all the setup sheets I put in is what's the client ID, what's the start date, what's the end date, whichever values I want to put in, and then I just hit the start button. I go away. How long did it take to do 6 or 7 million rows? That's a lunch, isn't it? It's a while. But most of the time, it's 30 seconds, it's a couple of minutes, but the data's down. It's quicker than doing it inside the actual interface.
To be clear, you can't pull 7 million rows into Excel. You dump that to CSV.
Okay, yep. I'm glad you made that point. But the ability is there to do it to a CSV file, which you can then manipulate elsewhere. Okay. Nobody pull me apart for this one. You're limited only by your imagination. And the reason I say that is, we don't tend to look, most people say, I want to get this report down from analytics. What we tend to say to a client is, what data would you like to be reporting on your website? And then we work out what's available from the API, and somewhere between the data and the ideal, you'll actually find the report. I won't repeat what somebody else called that in another one. Does anybody in the data visualization this morning? I'm going to cover, good question, I'm going to do the sample one. That's one of the big reasons we do it. I think that's 2 slides in, but yeah. It's worth upgrading just to get around the sampling. So, to answer your question, getting around sampling. By the way, that wasn't a paid question there. That was perfectly done. Okay, so how many people here suffer from some sampling issues? Yeah. In Analytics Edge, and I'm sure the other tools do this as well, you can basically say get around sampling, and what you have to do, what date range does your sampling happen? Is it daily, weekly, monthly? Depends what it is. You can go right down to a day and say, right, say for each different day, get me the number of sessions or users or whatever they want. Clearly, there's something's going to happen. You can't pull down users on a daily basis and then total up your users. For one of our clients, we use it, and I have to say it's on a session basis, not a user basis, but to get completely accurate campaign recording. Because we pull down on a daily basis every single campaign medium and source, and then we total them and send it out on a weekly basis.
Or if you capture client ID as a custom dimension, ignore the user count, pull down every single row you want, and then do a distinct count of client ID, which then becomes users.
There we go. Did everybody get that? Because you haven't got a microphone. No, I was about to say, so it's what Tim's just said, if you capture in the client ID, you can then export that out via the API and then do, what are you doing that? Are you doing that in BigQuery or are you doing that in
Excel.
In Excel?
So using Power Query, you can do distinct count of that, and that equivalent to your user, and you get around that limitation, so you can use this as well as sessions.
So I will basically, I'll add that to the slide at the end. Okay, so, and we've got a screenshot there, and this will be available because it's probably quite hard to see up there. And again, you'll see here, can everybody see there's a month row here? And all I've done is it makes a separate query for each different time period that I define. So to answer your sampling question, you need to, we do have a client that's gone down to the hour. We did point out to you really need that level of detail, but okay, and Tim's timestamps to the millisecond. Do you want to come up here and give the talk? Do you want to come up here and give the talk? What upmanship? Yeah, well, I go to the nanosecond. Okay, as we said, you've got the ability to download over 1 million rows. And as Tim has said, you've got 6 or 7 million down. We had a problem with a well-known UK retailer who was really proud of their bounce rate of being less than 3% on the homepage. And we were like, you know that's wrong. And they said, yeah, but management really, really loves it. Yeah, but you really know. They went, yeah, we really know we shouldn't. So what we did, it just feels wrong. And they said, can you have a look? So we thought, oh, this would be easy. They're firing an event on the homepage. And the best thing is, did anybody notice Simo says is not a swear word anymore? So we called Simo at Harvard and we said, Simo, could you look at this? And he went through and went, There's nothing wrong with this setup. So, how many people here are running Tag Manager? I presume most of you are running Tag Manager. How many of you have taken a look at Simo Ahava's custom dimensions, the 4 key custom dimensions? It's brilliant for debugging. It captures the client ID, a hit timestamp, the user ID if you're using it, and a session ID. And so what we ended up was over 1 million rows for the homepage across that week. Could we find what it was? No. We had to put it down to the fact they had put, this is a really big retailer, Tag Manager on a slow-loading site was at the very bottom of the web page. They put it as low as possible. So we had to summarize that possibly you weren't capturing the really slow people, because the mobile bounce rate was actually lower than desktop. Yeah, again, it's wrong. Yes. We did say if you want to give us a couple more weeks' work, we can still try and work it as, but we think it's your site so slow, you're not capturing the really slow visitors because your code's not loading. Exactly. Okay, only grab certain results. Now, how many people here have got PII in their Google Analytics? Wrong, you shouldn't have put your hand up. Wrong, I could be from Google. Not anymore. Right, we do an awful lot of Google Analytics audits. And one of the very first things we do is to say to people, let's extract every single page on the website, and I look for an @ sign, or the telephone number, or the phone, or a name field. So I don't have to scan through, I can just pull those out, and then so normally the first thing we say is straight away, you need to get this fixed. By the way, has anybody here had Google delete their data? We had somebody yesterday who wouldn't say why, but Google had deleted a couple of months' worth of data. If Google finds PII inside your Google Analytics, for that time period, they will delete the complete data set the PII was in, and that's normally your pages. Yep. So again, we just do one to find all the query strings. Again, this is just speeding up our process. I can take whenever we do GA audits, Craig and I always go, how automated can we do this? I go, Craig, I'll automate this stuff. Yep, gives us more time to concentrate on everything else. Okay, I'm a bit cheeky, I call it the missing Google Analytics reports. They're the reports that we wish Google Analytics had on there. I have one called the most navigated to. And it's quite simple. I take the page name, the entrances and the page views, and then I delete entrances to page views to see which ones people navigated to the most. I'm sure there's people look at it and say it's not precise, but it gives you a good idea. And what we've got here is, there's our data that I pulled down, we've got entrances and page views. Analytics Edge basically allows me to basically just create a formula. It's a standard Excel type formula, but it will then apply it to every single row automatically. I'm not having to drag and fill. I'm not doing anything more than I would normally do Excel, I'm just doing it quicker. Was there a question there? Or were you clearing your throat, Mark? Oh, okay. So here's some data I pulled down for a client. Interestingly, and we really need to talk to them about this, their second most navigated to page is no records equals true. Now, clearly, they don't use their website very often, do they? I had a look into that. That's because they've got some pre-configured searches on their homepage that nobody ever updates. In about 3 months' time, they'll update the website. They tell me, we're quite old school when it comes to this. Yeah. Okay. This is probably one of the most useful things that we do, and that's getting data from hundreds of segments. Those of you who've used the API, how many of you use the dynamic segments? What are you using that for? Just a gentleman over there, you put your hand up.
Well, we have different download centers depending on the topic, and I want the stakeholders put in the place to choose their download center, and I make it depending on the cell they put, and then refresh via the API.
Brilliant. So dynamic segments. So if you think, how long does it take you to normally create one segment in GA? Yep. But using the API, you can basically create dynamic segments. So if I want to get 30 segments down, I have to write, okay, this is about as technical as it's going to get. Are we all comfortable with regular expressions? Ish, yeah. Are we all comfortable with copying and pasting? Okay, if we're comfortable with copying and pasting, so what have we got? Because it's easy to taxonomy. So I say at the stop, I want sessions, and I want sessions on a desktop. I want sessions on a desktop from organic, and I want sessions from organic that landed on sportswear. Yep, what's that, 6? Run it through, I get the metrics that I want. But what I should really do, and I've just copied this from an Excel spreadsheet, I really should be checking, of course I'm checking my device categories. I'm not just going to have one generic one. I think for some of our reports, one of our report we've got about 560 different dynamic segments that we pull out. But it just speeds stuff up. It doesn't mean analysing it's any quicker. I'm just quicker to getting data. It gives me a bigger scope of data to work with. Okay, where are people's dashboards held at the moment? How many people are using Data Studio? Excel? Yep, again, it depends on the client. Power BI. We have some clients who want Data Studio. We have some clients who want Excel because they can email it around the organisation. That's what they're comfortable in. This one is an SEO report we do for a client. They run it on a weekly basis. They've bought a copy. That one's currently got 253 queries that run against each one. Because what we do for each section of the site, I get last week, the week before that, the year before that, I get sessions revenue balance and e-commerce conversion rate, and then I do it by device category. And we've got we've hidden that away. But what it allows them to do is basically, so that if they want to, they can dive into this data. What it also allows them to do is they like a format like this. This is a standard format they reported to before, so we've taken their standard format, enhanced it, but it means it's in a format they're comfortable with, rather than saying, go and use Data Studio. Okay. Anybody here build out merchandising reports in GA or... Go on, Tim, tell us about your merchandising reports. No, I'm asking you now.
Mine's actually in Tableau, it's using the Excel analytics to bring it down. It's for car stock, so it's time on stock for automotive across multiple dealers. We talked about that before.
We did.
The manufacturing conversion tends to be the extras, so the variant of the car. So an awful lot of the merchandising is an Audi A4, but it's which one's got GPS, which will let the seats in terms of what they then put on the homepage and now what they buy at auction.
Now, are those all events that you're tracking in?
Events and data layer variables.
Okay. But it's all coming down through the API. I'm just double checking. It's all through the API. So, again, this isn't something... Trying to do running merchandising reports out of standard GA is not. You just wouldn't do it, because it's not built for that. I've got two here. I've got a simple one, which basically we allow the user to take the category page, and on the fly, it says, show me all the searches that were carried out from this page. What else were users looking for? And then we show them what facets did people select for that particular category page. So last week, I can tell you for this client, on their trainers page, white's a big thing. White men's trainers. What do their merchandisers do? We'd push white men's trainers up the page. Now, I want to say, that still took us time to build the thing. That's a relatively simple thing to do based on the fact we're firing events when people select a facet. Our slightly more advanced one, how many people here are running advanced e-commerce? Yep. How many of you got? For how many people does it actually work properly? Nearly. I was going to say no. Craig and I were asking yesterday about, but I think enhanced e-commerce is amazing. So one of our clients basically said we're going to do this, and I've got to admit their in-house developers were amazing, and they got it done in 2 weeks, and it worked, all of it, because they own the platform, and then their merchandiser said, "This is brilliant. Now, our standard merchandising reports tell me what we have who's purchased. But I understand there's this amazing thing in enhanced e-commerce called the look-to-buy ratio. So I want to see what books are people looking at the most but not purchasing." So, and they said, "But we can't work out a way to do that in Google Analytics." I went, "Because you won't. It's not possible." So this is the most... Does anybody know what the Boston Matrix is? Does that ring any bells? Boston Matrix? No. Okay. It's pretty simple. You divide 4 categories. In their case, they wanted to have the books. We're going to go down into little seen and little bought, little seen and often bought, often seen and little bought, and often seen and often bought. And what we're going to do is we're going to basically calculate the average buy to detail and cart to detail ratio, and the top 10 most viewed books that were under, we pop into report on the most. So for each category, we want to see which are the ones that are driving attention but not being purchased. And that's what your Boston Matrix looks like. Purchased on that axis, seen on that axis. And the one that you're really interested in is the one where they're really concerned is your often seen and little purchased. Why are we having a lot of people looking at that book and not purchasing it? Was it 20 minutes? Is it 20 minutes off? Oh, is it half an hour? I thought it was 20 minutes. Keely said it was hard 20 minutes. I'll keep going, yeah. So, often seen little purchased is their main area of interest. Little seen and little purchased, they basically, the merchandiser basically says, sorry, I'm going to swear now. She goes, I don't give a fuck. Often seen, often purchased, well, that's brilliant. That's Harry Potter. That just walks off, yep. But what's really interesting is the little seen, yet often purchased. What are those little gems in there that we could be selling more of? Okay, now how many people here have anything to do with search? Okay. We do an awful lot of stuff. So basically, as I said, Analytics Edge can also access the Search Console API. How many people here now are using the full 16 months worth of data in Search Console? Right. So we use Analytics Edge. We combine it with Google Analytics to get as many queries as possible, to classify queries into 10 groups, and really understand brand versus non-brand traffic. So, how many people here have tried downloading queries manually inside Search Console? How many can you get in one go?
Samples as well.
Exactly. So, the most useful thing I'm going to say today, and I have to admit, I got this from the guy from LinkedIn at another conference. He said, what you want to do is you want to use the API to pull every query that starts with an A, that contains an A, a B, a C, a D, and an E. And then once you've gone through the 26 letters of the alphabet, take the most popular word combinations, ER, AT, and we run 89 of those. For some of our clients, we're getting over 100,000 keywords down. For one UK retailer, we got 468,463 phrases that appeared inside the SERPs, which is nice. It's a big figure. They were very happy. And the next question was, well, what exactly am I meant to do with all those search phrases? See, luckily, I glued it. Well, I'm going to freestyle this one. I thought I'd saved it. What we did is we built an intent classifier, and we took every single search query and said, right, does it contain this? Is it color? Is it size? Is it whatever? And then we ranked them by the volume. And the final slide. How many people here have difficulties accurately tracking their brand name versus non-brand traffic in search? Why is it difficult? Okay, I'm now going to also throw in site links. So when you put your brand name into Google and you get five site links at the bottom, and what you don't necessarily know, so what you get in Search Console is you'll get the query, you'll get the impressions, you'll get the clicks. But as we all know, it's sampled, and the number of clicks you get inside Search Console is not necessarily the same as what you see in Google Analytics or another tool. So what we do is we download each landing page and all the queries, and then we say, what was the volume of branded search queries compared to non-branded, and then we get a percentage. So the home page might be 90-10, a category page might be 50-50. And then using Analytics Edge, we then pull the same, we pull the same landing page data back from the actual analytics, and we put a split against it. And it can be really quite interesting if you're a big brand. We did work for a big brand whose SEO manager had tried to tell them how much hard work he'd done. And it turned out that 90% of all their traffic was brand related. That was really quite uncomfortable for him because he tried to suggest that if it wasn't for him, they would be nowhere in search. The full version will be up online when I rewrite those slides. And that's it. Yep.
Down the AdWord keyword list, do a cross-match and see which ones score well on both. And I've got with Power Query, you can hook up to the API or SEMrush or Ahrefs or whatever, and you can pull down the equivalent cost for the organic. And you can work out what you're currently buying and what the value of the organic is if you had a bought it, because you whatever the value is, but at least have a score. So bringing those three data sets down. So I've used Analytics Edge for the Search Console and for the AdWord stuff, and then Power Query brings the separate stuff.
I mean, I think it's most useful when you've got your custom dimensions set up. It's just the ability, it's the sheer volume of data that you can bring down, and you only need to bring down the data that you actually need, if that makes sense.
Okay, I'll bring it all down.
Yeah. John.
Charles, is there any sign of Google enforcing any usage caps on the free
will find that if you make too many concurrent requests or too quickly, it will cap you out with an error. And you will find that if you are doing something like pulling 6 months worth of data down to the timestamp to the millisecond, that it will go slower and slower and slower. So when I've got a job like that, I would typically go back to like 12 months ago, pull that month at a time, give it a day. That 12 months ago is stored somewhere in Azure. Go 11 months ago, and basically taking months to pull it all down, but then I've got.
But so, for example, if I want to pull that 400,000 keywords, that's no problem. It's only when you're sending thousands of queries to the API at any one time.
It also seems to be depends on the dimensions you pull down as well. So you've got 7 dimensions max per query, although you can stitch it out at its edge. But for some reason, it seems to be certain dimensions are faster or don't
We're
get
good.
as much, but some other ones less frequently called ones, I guess. the ones
You're
that
not getting locked out, you're just being slowed
They're
down.
throttling, and the throttling varies by what dimensions you're calling. So I think the ones they've already got pre-aggregated, they fly them faster. The ones where you're putting demands on their server, they're capping you out at how fast they'll serve you that.
Makes sense, thanks.
So eventually, I'll piss them off enough that they will put a cap on it. Right now, I haven't yet broken it.
Yeah. The thing is, not many people are pulling stuff down from the API at the moment. So, of course you can. No, that's in Analytics Edge. That's getting around the unsample one, because essentially what you're doing is you're saying, at what point does sampling kick in? And if I have a really high volume site, I might have to go down to a daily basis. If it's only doing it on a month if I can get unsampled thing for the dimensions and metrics that I want in that month, you just set the month timestamp. Therefore, you don't need to pay a fortune to get unsampled data from 360.
So we use the free Analytics Edge along with other stuff. Is there a way to automate it so I don't have to press the refresh button?
Yes, you can type in the paid for version. The paid for version has scheduling. So yes, to be fair to Mike, he has got to make some money. And the scheduling, so we'll often on a Sunday night have about 5 or 6 reports set up to run. Now, we're quite sensible, we might run them every half an hour knowing they take 15 minutes, but yeah.